Have you ever thought about the moment when the first wheel was invented? Almost everything we can say about this is pure speculation, but I like to imagine like this. It was a warm summer day in the ancient lands of Lower Mesopotamia. Amidst the sweltering heat, someone found themselves faced with a river to cross. With ingenuity, they placed a log as a makeshift bridge. However, once they were halfway through, the log started spinning and they took an unexpected dip into the river. However, in the middle of this mess, they had a revelation. Round things slide far more easy in the ground, especially when it is all wet and slippery. So why not to use this to carry big things around? They could place tree trunks under planks to carry big loads from one place to another. And these rollers, born from a little mishap, were crucial for Mesopotamians and Egyptians to build their grand infrastructure. There was a catch, though. Each log must be replaced after use. Still, the improvement was a great deal. It made it much easier to carry big rocks around, but also it had a deeper understanding in the geometrical shapes that it involved. And it didn't go unappreciated, at least for one person, who I will call Summer for the purpose of this story. Summer was someone who had a strong interest in understanding the world around her. Particularly, she was fascinated by how the motion of these trunks seems to follow certain patterns, even when she couldn't quite grasp why. One day, Summer had a breakthrough. After playing around with way too many sticks, Summer realized that if the center of a spinning disk is stationary, the disk moves freely around. And it wasn't until hundreds of years later when Summer's discovery of the wheel was used for transportation. I want to dedicate a moment to emphasize the impact of this remarkable invention for human progress. There was no wheel in nature, and the wheel is, fairly so, the symbol of innovation. However, I think that at the time, people would have been annoyed at Summer. I mean, it makes sense. At the time, in the late Neolithic, people were hungry. Agriculture was still in its early stages, the rivers were unpredictable, and the borders must be defended. In the middle of this mess, put it simply, all Summer was doing was playing with rocks and sticks. Nobody, including Summer, would have ever thought that the outcome of her tinkerings will result in an easier way to transport food, clean water, or transportation materials. In fact, if you ask her why she was fooling around like that, probably she would say something like, I don't know, I just really like doing this. And probably people would say something like, yeah, like she's pretty smart, like she's just out of it. And it was fair for people to say that, you know, the least she could do is at least to argue that her discovery will end up bringing the development of watches or windmills or electric cars. The most compelling aspect of this story is that it is not an outlier. Some of the most groundbreaking discoveries through history have emerged not from meticulous endeavors with well-defined goals, but from sheer curiosity. Today, I want to highlight the power of fundamental research, which aims to deepen our understanding of the world around us with no specific application in mind. Summer's story is a case of curiosity-driven research that changed history. And today, I'm going to give you well-documented reasons to believe that curiosity is the driving force behind innovation. I cannot stop by talking about J.J. Thomson, a scientist who valued curiosity, exploration, and the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake. In 1897, Thomson was conducting experiments on cathode rays in his laboratory in Cambridge when he observes negatively charged particles. He called these particles corpuscles. Corpuscles, a Latin word for small bodies, because they were 2,000 times lighter than hydrogen, the smallest atom. This was wild. At the time, atoms were thought to be indivisible particles. And he found by first time something that was 2,000 times smaller than was considered the most indivisible particle at the time. Thomson didn't think that such small particles were big enough to be of interest to anyone outside of a science lab. Regardless, he knew that these particles had profound implications in their understanding of the nature of matter. Thomson suggested that atoms were composed of a positively charged particle with charged electrons in it, just like plums in a pudding. In fact, he suggested a new atomic model that he called plum pudding model. Probably this was a deal breaker for his naming privileges, because after renaming his corpuscles, he announced his discovery with a toast saying, "Here's to the electron. May no one find a use for it." This is a clear proof that even a genius can be wrong sometimes. Thomson's discovery of the electron laid the foundation of quantum mechanics, but also led the development of microwaves, PCs, mobile phones, renewable energy technologies, and many others. And whether you're a proficient academic or you're someone who loves a good story, you probably cannot think about curiosity-driven research without thinking about the man whose unruly hair and playful grin have become synonymous of genius itself. Albert Einstein, who boldly opened a cosmic rabbit hole in the understanding of the universe. For him, curiosity wasn't just a passing whim. It was a fundamental aspect of human nature. One of the many questions that caught his attention is what's today opened up my field of research, the nature of light. I imagine Einstein gazing out his window, contemplating a brewing tempest, lost in thought, when suddenly, lightning danced across the sky, illuminating the landscape in brief, electrifying bursts, or something like that. But you get the idea. He's just wondering about how light works at the atomic level, thinking of lightning bolt as a single photon, a tiny but powerful packet of energy hurtling through the sky at the speed of light. Eventually, he realizes that light isn't just a random stream of photons. It is actually made up of little particles that behave in pretty funky ways. Then it dawns on him. What if atoms could be convinced of spit out identical copies of incoming photons, just like an atomic photocopy machine? He imagines photons absorbing light, getting excited, and then releasing two identical photons instead of one, that they could also excite other two atoms themselves. This is just like the giggly laugh of a child that is expressed to everyone around them. This process could lead to a cascade effect, with one photon triggering the emission of many other identical photons. What if I tell you that 50 years later, this idea transformed our lives? Einstein's vision became reality by Theodore Mayman. He used a flashlight to excite some atoms in a crystal. This resulted in a cascade effect, birthing a coherent beam of red light. This was a breakthrough for humanity. We had lasers. Today, laser-based technologies are everywhere. Lasers allow for high-speed transmission of data, internet connectivity, television broadcasting. Lasers have transformed medicine from vision surgery to cancer treatments. Lasers monitor climate conditions to provide crucial information for the optimization of agricultural practices. And there is so much more to come. As we speak, in Livermore, scientists have developed new laser-based technologies to find clean sources of energy. Isn't this amazing? I see Einstein's exploration of light as a testament to the intricate interplay between curiosity-driven research and real-world applications. If you think about it, laser technologies now help feeding more people. But if you ask someone to try to solve hunger in the world, they could never come up with the idea of studying the nature of light, right? But what we can expect is that the more we understand the mysteries of nature, the better we can apply its principles to improve our future. I'm also an experimental scientist. I work here at UC Santa Barbara under the supervision of Professor Matania de Vries in the field of spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is a science that studies the interactions between light and matter. And I would say that it lays in a blurry line between curiosity-driven research and its real-world applications. For example, we study how DNA, molecules, and light interact together. This is a really exciting topic for us. It brings us closer to understanding the origin of life. To do so, we designed instruments that provide new insights to our problem. This part of our research has real-world applications because all the new technologies that we are developing can be used in different industries. But what we really enjoy doing is seeing what molecules do once we expose them to light. To do so, we first isolate DNA molecules in very high vacuum systems and low temperatures to make sure that they have nothing else to interact with. Then we design complex ultra-fast laser systems to irradiate our targeted molecules with precise levels of energy. Imagine it like this. We send molecules racing through our instruments at supersonic speeds. And just like in Star Wars, we shoot them with different lasers to observe their response to light. It is pretty cool, huh? As results, we observe things like this. This molecule is 1,000,000 times smaller than we can see with our own eye. However, by doing these kind of experiments, we can see this tiny hydrogen atom here to move from this little part of the molecule to another. Many times, my family and friends ask me, what's the point of your research? And I wish I could answer this question with a clear roadmap that connects my research with the applications that it may have one day. However, we can't predict future. It doesn't work in economics, it doesn't work in politics, and certainly doesn't work in science. And here it is the dilemma. Scientific research is mostly funded by public funds. And it is logical for contributors to expect some kind of accountability. We still live in a world with many problems unsolved, such as poverty or climate change. And it may sound foolish to spend our resources and brilliant minds and dedicate them to solve something that we cannot see a clear, direct, and immediate application for. This leads to a difficult situation in which we need to find a balance between putting science under the scrutiny of innovation, productivity, and economic measures, while also providing the space that scientists require for creative and unpredictable work. We all agree that curiosity-driven research does not need to convince anyone of its value. From the wheel to electronics, to medicine, every scientific development needed fundamental research at some point. And now we should avoid speculating about what will be the future endeavors of our research and educate great scientists with the freedom to thrive. Thank you.